Good morning. My name is Nate, and this is Breakfast in Bed. Today, we're going to be making pancakes in sunny Denver, Colorado while we're in quarantine. I'm really excited to teach you guys how to make the best pancakes in the world. Pandemic pancakes? We're in a quarantine. We're in a pandemic. You have to make pancakes. It's a no-brainer. So what do you need to get started? You need a spatula, a pan, a whisk, measuring stuff. We have a ton of ingredients too. So we're gonna combine all these dry ingredients together, which is flour, it's mostly flour, sugar, baking soda, baking powder, and salt. We're gonna mix all those together and then combine it with buttermilk. We're gonna make our own buttermilk, eggs and butter, and a secret ingredient, vanilla extract. So, let's get started. Yeah, so you have to separate the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients because if you combine them all at once, it's not gonna mix well, it's not gonna taste well. You have to do it separately. The first thing we're gonna do is combine all of our dry ingredients. We wanna have 2.5 cups of flour. So just cut her off, dump her in. So that's one. Just repeat the process. That's about right. At the end of the day, you don't need to be exact because pancakes, you have to feel them out. The entire process of cooking a pancake is in here. It's in the heart. The best thing about a pancake too is whether you're 4 years old or you're 400 years old, you can still make it and it's gonna be, who knows what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a different story each time. So that's 2.5 cups. Now we want to add a ton of sugar. Pancakes. There's nothing better than starting your day with cake. People say 3 tablespoons, but I think you need way more than that because I'm a sweet tooth. Everyone's a sweet tooth. So we're just gonna dump a ton of sugar in there. That's about right. And I like to use baking soda and baking powder, and so the reason why I like that is it makes it a little bit more fluffy when you combine the two of them. So we're gonna do 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and we're gonna do 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Boom. Boom. And 1 teaspoon of salt, but you just grind her in there. So that's all the dry ingredients. Let's whisk those together, incorporate them, and let's put this aside for later. So now we're gonna mix in the wet ingredients. So the wet ingredients is buttermilk, and all the buttermilk was out of the store. We're gonna make our own buttermilk. So we wanna have 2.5 cups of milk. Boom, 2.5 cups. And rule of thumb is 1 tablespoon of distilled white vinegar per cup of milk to turn it into buttermilk. So we're gonna add about 2.5 tablespoons of vinegar. And that's buttermilk. You kinda wanna let that rest for about 10 minutes for it to curdle and turn into buttermilk. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. There's so many different kind of pancakes. They're like people. There's big ones, there's small ones, there's round ones, there's lumpy ones, there's curvy ones, there's dark ones, there's light ones. So our wet ingredients, we have our buttermilk that we just made, we have our liquid butter, and now we have our eggs. And we're gonna separate our eggs. We're gonna separate the yolks from the white stuff. The reason why we do that is we're gonna add in the white stuff later. It gives it a little bit more fluffiness. So we're gonna break 1 egg. And how I usually separate it is with the shells, but when you're at home and you wanna have some fun with it, you just let the yolk run through your fingers. Oh, I wanted to use the other bowl. So we're gonna put the yolk in this bowl. There we go. Not the yolk. Putting the yolk in this bowl. And we're gonna do it again. Oh no. Second egg. And we're gonna separate it with our hands, like so. Whoa, whoa. All right, get it all out over there. Cool. So now we have our 2 yolks in here. We have our butter and we have our milk. We're gonna combine all of those into this bowl. So let's pour the buttermilk and the liquid butter. And let's begin to mix those. And we're mixing, and we're mixing, and we're mixed. Cool. So we have our wet ingredients, we have our dry ingredients, and it's time to combine the 2. Let's pour our wet mixture into our dry mixture. Like that. And so you also want to just fold it into each other. You don't want to mix it super hard, because if you over mix it, it's not going to taste good. And it's going to taste flat. It's not going to be as fluffy. It's not going to rise how you want it to rise. So we're just going to fold it into each other and just kind of let it get to know each other. And now, after that's mixed, we're going to add in our egg whites. And mix that in there as well. And while we're mixing it, we're gonna go ahead and turn on our pan. We wanna have it to be like a medium low heat, because you're not trying to burn these pancakes. So the egg whites are now incorporated, and it's time to start making the pancakes. Before I put the pancake on the pan, I always like to cover the pan in a little bit of butter to give it a little bit more of that richness. So we're gonna take a 1/3 cup and pour the mix into the pan. And let her go. So while the pancake's cooking, it's gonna start bubbling at the top. And when you start seeing bubbles pop through, that's when you know that the pancake's ready to be flipped over. So we're starting to see some bubbles come through now, but we're gonna wait a little bit longer because I like to see a little bit more bubbles and a little bit more action than what's happening right now.
Having a mimosa? Going to brunch? Having an espresso martini? After some pancakes? Come on, come on. Drink some coffee? Come on. You can't mess with me on that. It's the best.
So there's enough bubbles coming out the top. It's time to flip. Boom. That's how you do it. That's how you make pancakes. Now you just have to make like 10 of them and give it to who you're giving in breakfast in bed, and that's it.
Like a good tasty one.
If you give this to somebody when they're in bed, game over. You won. You won. You won the day. So go make somebody breakfast in bed and make them some pancakes. Do you want to make a monster, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make a monster. This is just for us.
Yeah.
Actually, now that we made some fun pancakes, this is how I actually make my pancakes. I like them big. Uncle Buck style.
Keep it rolling.
That's how you make a pancake, baby. We're making pancakes. Oh, baby. Here we go. Uh-oh.
Just do it. Just flip it.
Oh! A little bit crusty, but that's how we like it. Yummy. Yummy. Yummy.
Cue Justin Bieber, yummy. Alright.